Well, guys, welcome back to Real Estate Analysis 101. Sorry, I've been out of the loop for a while. I've been getting over some flu, but I'm back and ready to roll. So, anyway, I'm a realtor here in Houston. My name is Paul Hunter. I am I am from South America, from Colombia specifically. So I know a little bit about high inflation, high interest rates, high unemployment. Um, Today, we're going to be covering some the U.S. home prices at a national level. But first thing, I am not a financial advisor. I am a realtor here in Houston that wants to share my insights, my mistakes, my successes, so that you can invest better and make sure that the psychology behind all of this talk, you can make a better decision. So I do appreciate likes, subscribe, and comments. So if you can subscribe to my channel, that'd be awesome. Okay, before we get started, as always, man, I just want to make sure that we don't fall prey to the doom and gloom. Everybody's talking about crashes, about all this sort of stuff, recessions and all that. I am not saying that it's not going to happen. What I'm saying is that if we talk it that way and enough critical mass of people start thinking that way, we will have a recession and maybe even worse than that. So I just want to present the facts. The trouble is that if enough people buy into the doom and gloom, we might end up having a recession. We might having a housing crash. It becomes a reality. So that's why I'm always saying that economics is a physical result of psychological processes. So I'm not going to blow smoke up anywhere. Remember, the economics, again, is mainly a result of a psychological alignment of a critical mass of human thought. And let's get started with a very simple thing. Again, the definition of either sellers, buyers, or a balanced market. So if the inventory we have in the market lasts for, nothing else comes on the market, and it lasts for 6 months, we have a balanced market. Any more than 6 months, we have a buyer's market, and any less than that, we have a seller's market. So with all the doom and gloom and the crashing talk we have somewhere around, depending on where you are in the US, we have anywhere between 2.6 to 3 months of inventory. Guys, this means we still have a strong seller's market. This is more or less what we had in 2019 pre-pandemic. 2019 was a very good year for real estate. The thing is that we got used to seeing things like appreciation of 20, 30, 40% even sometimes. And so that is not sustainable. That is an unusual thing that doesn't happen. So I just want people to be aware of that. That's not something that happens for an extended period of time. Okay, guys, let's get started with some of the data that we're looking at. First thing we need to look at is we're seeing that the U.S. home prices rose somewhere between 12.4% over the last year, and it went up 0.1% from the second quarter. And this is for the third quarter information. So what we're looking at is, let's read this. So just so that we know what we're talking about. U.S. prices rose 12.4% from the third quarter of 2021 to the third quarter of 2022, according to the Federal Housing Finance Agency House Price Index. House prices were up 0.1% compared to the second quarter of 2022. That's very little, guys, but it's still going slightly up. The FHFA seasonal adjusted monthly index for September was up 0.1 from August. So essentially what it says here is that home prices were flat for the third quarter, but continued to remain above levels from a year ago. So this doom about crashing isn't happening just yet. And I want to bring in a detail. I want you to understand something that is really, really important. The appreciation of real estate historically, since the beginning of when they started taking measures of this, has been somewhere around 4%. And So when you have increases of 19, 20, 30%, it's awesome if you sell at that point. But when you go buy something, you're also paying 19, 20, 30% more. So it's not necessarily a great thing for the market. The truth is that it should be a sustainable growth so that we don't have these crazy increases with the risk of very crazy downfalls. When people get scared, they might panic. And when people start thinking about that, this is where the psychological process comes into play. People panic, they start selling for whatever, and then they just go down, and the market just dies. So again, let's get going back to the article. It's really important, and we look at all of this. So significant findings. Nationally, the U.S. housing market experienced positive annual appreciation each quarter since the beginning of 2012. Got to think of that. That's an important piece of information. House prices rose in all 50 states and the District of Columbia between the third quarters of 2021 and 2022. So in the 5 areas with highest appreciation were Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. The ones with less appreciation or the lowest appreciation were DC, Oregon, California, Minnesota, and Louisiana. Now, when you say the minimum, you look at something like California at 7.6%, where their prices are already high anyway. This cannot be a housing crash, guys. Not yet. Not yet. So let's look at this chart. This chart is taking the home prices between 1991 to 2022. If you see this yellow line, this is the trend line, right? This is what we've been doing historically. That's the 4% annually. So right before the crash of 2008 and 9, we had a bit of a bubble here. But if you look here, we're higher than normal, but not. It's unlikely that we'll see a crash of this nature just because the situation is a little bit different. This is for another video, but the lending situation is different than it was before. In other words, lending guidelines are a lot more stringent than they used to be, and we don't see the unemployment figures that we're seeing before. So I think that for sure we have enough of a basis for the housing market to continue to grow at a healthy rate rather than this crazy 19, 20, even more percentage points. So my thought is, if we look at it in a rational point of view with all the data that we have, we will be able to sustain the market. Now, just as an aside, if you are a realtor that are doing 2 or 3 deals a year at the height of the housing market, now you may not be doing any because it'll be a little bit harder for everybody. If your neighbor sold at 20% above what he paid for when he bought the home, you're probably not going to get 20%, but you will get a healthy return or an increase on the price. Again, this is something that is what we would call a normal market. And again, looking at this, we're looking at this trend line. You will be somewhere around that trend line. Okay, just to keep this thing clear, we are looking at the market summary for October 2022, and it shows that the median list prices, this is list prices, were up 13% year over year. Days on market went up a little bit, 51 days, and active listings went up 33%. That's a lot. We're getting, in other words, we don't have a crash yet. The active listings mean that more people want to sell and buy. And it also means that the buyers are a little bit spooked. And I understand most people have only heard of interest rates somewhere between 2, 3, 4%. So when they see 5, 6, 7, or 8%, they are spooked by that. And we have another piece of information later. I have another video on that. But the interest rate came down a little bit because the Fed was doing some stuff that will reduce the pressure on the interest rates. Now, I want to show you something. This is a little bit of statistics. It's not necessarily anything to do with trends or anything like that, but it's important to know. The midweek price cuts offer Black Friday bargains for home shoppers. So look out for price cuts on Thursday. That would be like the best day to find price cuts. Not any over the weekend. That may be any number of reasons. People are looking over the weekend, so sellers get ahead of the curve and they start lowering their price on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's what I do to get people primed and start looking over the weekend. Typical price cuts are around 3% of the list price, which is about $11,000 in a typical home. And the reason for that is that if I tell my sellers, if we have we've been on the market for a while and we have a few showings, but no offers, we're somewhere between 3 and 5% above the market price. If we have no showings, then we're out of the market. We need to reconsider or consider a price adjustment that is significant. In other words, above 5%, because you can't negotiate if there's nobody out there to negotiate with. So, and again, sellers typically cut prices 3 weeks after they're listing their home on the market. That is because they start to see what I was saying before. They start seeing no traffic, nobody's coming to see the house, or a few people come by, but nobody actually makes an offer. So that's an important thing to take advantage. So as I said before, Wednesdays and Thursdays are the biggest price drops or changes in the prices for listings on the market. Unfortunately, that as the best time of year, the home shoppers have missed this window for this year for the season with the most price cuts. Typically, the share of listings with a price cut is highest from the beginning of July to the middle of September, and that's because most people are looking for homes to get started with the school year. So if you're selling your home and you don't get any offers in July, August, it's time to really consider dropping your price before so that whoever's looking for a home in your neighborhood looks at your house. So anything after that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find the price cuts. Now, continuing with how to make it a little bit better for the buyers, we were talking about how the sellers will start dropping their prices about 3 weeks to a month after they've listed their home. That's for homes that are for resale homes. Now, if you're looking for ways to reduce reduce the cost for new construction, typically builders will not negotiate on the price. They have a price. What they will do is they may help you with, if they have a preferred lender, they might have some incentives. They might give the realtor some bonuses, which in my case, I tend to, depending on the situation, I tend to split that bonus or even give it all to the buyer, depending on what the situation is. But anyway, there's 7 ways to reduce the cost of a new build. So here, let's go through that, and we'll take it one by one. Okay, the first why is to buy into the community early. So if your timeline is flexible, one prime opportunity to score major savings is by being one of the first people to purchase in a new community, even before the homes have been built, when developers are particularly eager to get buyers on board. There are pre-construction pricing opportunities that will likely allow you to purchase a home at a lower price. Since the potential pre-construction savings amount varies from each development, it is in your best interest to call around to every development to find the best deal. Samuel suggests prospective home buyers create a spreadsheet of the different developments in their area and ask a sales representative for each development about specific bonuses on the offer. So again, we're talking about bonuses. We probably don't see a lot of drops in the actual price. Now, the second way is to minimize the number of upgrades. This is where the builder makes a lot of their money. if you can buy the base model, has most of the things you come. I mean, it's base. It's a basic. It's kind of similar to a car. New construction homes have base models which come with bare minimum. But if you want any fancy bells and whistles, think high-end kitchen countertops or a custom paint job, this will typically jack up the price. Home builders will generally have a list of what is included in the base price of a new construction home, often referred to as specification level. Beyond that, many builders offer personal selections or options that a buyer can choose to add for an additional fee. So minimizing the amount of extra selecting during your home build is going to be one of the most significant ways to realize savings. So a lot of times, if they take you to the design center, you go with your realtor to keep you honest, because a lot of people are going to start losing their minds with all the possible upgrades. And sometimes the upgrades look cool, but if you put them all together, they may not match. So keep it down if you can. Now, talk about this. The third way we can reduce the cost of a new build is see if you can negotiate the sales price. So while sellers of existing homes, in other words, resale homes, are almost always willing to negotiate the sales price of the home, this is not always the case with builders, but you can try. Some builders won't negotiate under any circumstances, but it's always worth a shot, says Vice President of New Homes at Realtor.com. Builders have reasons to keep prices close within the community to ensure they don't end up with other upset buyers who discover their neighbor got a significantly better deal, though they purchased a home around the same time. So while you might be able to negotiate down the price of a new construction home a little, be wary of trying to lower it too much, as that could ultimately work against you. Lowering the sales price in a community where the builder has more homes to sell is not a great strategy, nor is it good for the appraisals of the community. As a better result, you might negotiate savings in terms of the builder incentives, which is what we're going to talk about next. The fourth way is to find out what the builder incentives might be offered. Builder incentives are basically promotions that developers use to attract buyers and may include things like money-saving financing options. Builders will help with closing costs or buying down the home loan interest rate. So this is where it gets interesting. If the interest rates are somewhere around between, say, 6 and 7%, you might find somebody saying, "Oh, I've got mine for 3.5%." You say, "Well, how is that possible?" Well, it's possible because they bought down the loan. So you bought the points. So that's something that you can talk to with the lender. Sometimes it's worthwhile doing that because you pay some of that interest up front. If you got the money, it might be for example, some of the builder incentives, you may apply that towards buying down the loan. So in other words, your loan is higher and yet you're paying less because you've paid it up front. So that's an interesting alternative. So that's something that you need to talk to that's why take your realtor. Your realtor will know how to talk to the builder to make sure that you're getting the best deal. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the price of the home is going to come down. That is one of the very big misconceptions that a lot of new home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, think that they can negotiate the price because they saw that that they're getting, say, 97% of the. There's my dog. Okay, guys, welcome back. I fed my dogs. They seem to be doing in a much better mood now. So let me finish my video for you guys. So really, I already talked about what the meat and potatoes part of the video. Now, I just wanted to end with a couple of things. First of all, I just want to let you guys know the home purchase sentiment. That's what consumers think in terms of buying a home in the future, posted a modest gain. Now, consumers think that the mortgage rates are going to continue to increase, but that the home price is going to come down. So that gives them a little bit better sentiment in terms of the future buying psychology that they're working on. So again, we're talking about psychology. The part of that is that the interesting part is that the mortgage rates have already been coming down for the last 4 weeks, according to the FHA. So it's not a huge amount, but they are coming down. So if we have the interest rates coming down a little bit and people, the psychology again, the critical mass of people thinking that we're going to have lower prices in homes, that may bring the prices down, and we'll have a sustainable market so that it doesn't crash as most of these other people are predicting. And so again, if we are data driven and we look at it as the numbers and what that shows us, then we can be a little bit more intelligent and savvy in terms of making our real estate investment decisions. So I hope you got some value from this video. Please let me know in your comments. I obviously like it if you subscribe to my my channel. Comment on it. I really appreciate that. The good and the bad. I can learn from the bad, obviously. And I just want you guys to know that I want you to gain an understanding of the psychology behind economics so you can make better real estate decisions. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a realtor in Houston that wants to share my insights so that you can learn from my mistakes and successes. So when you're out there investing, looking for real estate, be good or be careful, or preferably both. So you guys, take care.